September 1st, 1870. A pale sunrise bled slowly over the mist-choked valley of Ardennes. Dew glimmered on the tall grass like 1,000 tiny mirrors, and high on a lonely hill overlooking the valley, Emperor Lucien Armand Valcourt sat rigid in his saddle, his breath trembling with every exhale. He was the ruler of the Aurelian Empire, a European titan for nearly a century. But on this morning, Lucien felt less like an emperor and more like a man trapped in a shrinking world. Around him stood 110,000 soldiers, packed into the valley floor. Above them, the black silhouettes of Prussian cannons dotted the ridges like iron vultures. Nearly 400 guns waited for the first signal to unleash hell. Lucien swallowed hard. "So, this is how an empire ends?" he whispered. General Etienne de la Croix, his oldest friend, turned toward him. "Not yet, sir. We still have men willing to fight." Lucien didn't respond. His face, once vibrant, theatrical, alive, now looked carved from wax. The illness gnawing through his organs had left him pale, exhausted, and hollow-eyed. Every movement cost him. Every breath felt like lifting a stone. But the world expected the blood of legends from him, the blood of the Valcourt dynasty, conquerors of the old continent. "Etienne," Lucien murmured, "we should never have marched here." The general didn't deny it. Silence hung between them, broken only by the distant rumble of enemy artillery being primed. Just months before this morning, the Aurelian Empire had appeared unshakable. Its capital, Verrières, sparkled with grand theaters, academies, and palaces that dazzled foreign envoys. Its tricolor flag flew over colonies across oceans. Its army had been feared for generations, an army supposedly unmatched in discipline, courage, and legacy. But the illusions ended the moment someone tried to lift the mask. The empire was aging. Its emperor was dying. Its politics were a battlefield. Lucien Armand Valcourt, once a charismatic hero of the people, now ruled by clinging to the ghost of his family name. He needed victories to survive politically. He needed triumph to silence bitter Republicans, angry monarchists, and ambitious aristocrats. Instead, every foreign move he made collapsed. The expedition to Aurenia had ended with the puppet king he installed being shot by rebels. The treasury bled dry. The people mocked him in taverns. His ministers whispered behind his back. And worst of all, every sunrise brought pain. His physicians called it the graveling sickness, stones in his bladder that felt like shards of glass tearing him apart. He hid it. He numbed himself with laudanum, but his enemies smelled weakness like wolves. The war he didn't want. Across the northern border, in the fiercely disciplined kingdom of Vulcan, Chancellor Adler Falkenhayn watched all of this with a strategist's cold fascination. Falkenhayn was no soldier. He was a statesman with a mind sharp enough to peel the world apart and stitch it back together again. He believed one thing: modern nations are built in fire. He needed a unified Germanic empire under Vulcan rule. The southern states resisted him, proud nations with their own kings, armies, and histories. They would never willingly bow unless they could be convinced that unity was survival. To make that happen, Adler needed a war. Not a war he started, a war his enemies started. He studied the Aurelian Empire and saw a leader cornered by politics, clouded by illness, desperate for a victory. A perfect puppet. "All we require," Adler murmured, "is a spark, and men desperate for glory will fan it into wildfire." The spark arrived from an unexpected place, the kingdom of Astoria, which had lost its monarch 2 years earlier and was searching for a replacement. A minor prince from Vulcan's ruling family, Prince Albrecht of Marin, was suggested as a candidate. A harmless political proposition until it reached the newspapers of the Aurelian Empire. "Vulcan princes on our southern doorstep?" the article screamed. "Encirclement, threat, insult." Ministers stormed into Lucian's chambers demanding action. Politicians thundered in parliament. The public, fueled by a century of rivalry, howled for the empire to defend its honor. General Delacroix warned caution, but the emperor, weakened and cornered, allowed his ministers to negotiate aggressively. Prince Albrecht withdrew his candidacy peacefully. The crisis could have ended right there. But Lucian's ministers pushed harder. They demanded Vulcan promise never again to allow one of their princes to consider the Astorian throne, a demand no sovereign nation would ever accept. When the Aurelian ambassador confronted King Heinrich of Vulcan at a quiet spa town, Heinrich refused politely and calmly. The meeting ended with handshakes. But the report sent back to Adler Falkenhayn changed everything. The chancellor sat in his dim office, reading the ambassador's mild, respectful telegram. He read it once, twice, then picked up a pen. He slashed polite phrases, removed context, condensed sentences until the message read like a public insult. He turned diplomacy into humiliation with ink alone. "This," Adler said to his generals, handing the edited draft, "is the spark." They read it. "It sounds," one whispered, "like a slap in the face." "Exactly," Adler smiled, "and the world will hear it." The next morning, newspapers across the continent printed the explosive edited message, now called the Amberfall Dispatch. In Verrières, the reaction was volcanic. Crowds surged through the streets screaming for revenge. Drummers beat patriotic rhythms in the plazas. Political rivals embraced, united by fury. Soldiers marched through boulevards covered in flower petals. "War," they cried. "Honor! To the Rhine!" Lucian stood at the palace window, watching the chaos spread through his capital. His hands trembled. He could see hatred being weaponized around him. He could feel the trap closing. "If I refuse," he whispered to Delacroix, "then they will tear the throne from under me." The general lowered his head. "Then they will tear the empire apart, sire." But politics moved faster than wisdom. On July 19th, the Aurelian Empire declared war on Vulcan. The people cheered. The parliament roared. The newspapers proclaimed victory before the first shot had been fired. Lucian, pale and shaking, signed the declaration with a hand that barely held the pen. He didn't know the truth yet. The Vulcan armies, over 400,000 strong, were already waiting, and they had prepared for this war for 10 years. The sun dipped behind the fortress walls of Belcourt as General Adrien Delacroix studied the map laid across a crude wooden table. Outside, the chaotic echoes of marching boots, stamping horses, and frantic officers filled the camp with a restless dread. France had declared war, but France was not ready for war. Everyone knew it. No one dared say it aloud. Colonel Armand Villeneuve entered the tent, his uniform dusty from the road. "General," he said quietly, "the men are assembled. Most of them, at least." "Most?" Adrien asked without looking up. Armand hesitated.
Some units never received their rail orders. A few arrived without ammunition, and the 14th Cavalry. The horses, Adrian guessed? Still in Lyon, someone filed the wrong transport sheet. Adrian exhaled slowly, folding the map. This is not an army, it's a memory of one. But orders from Paris left no room for hesitation. Emperor Lucian III had demanded a swift advance toward the eastern frontier, a show of strength, a promise of glory. The emperor did not understand that glory was now a currency France could no longer afford. Adrian brushed past Armand and stepped outside. The wind carried the scent of burning coal from the field kitchens and the musk of animals. Soldiers sat on overturned crates trying to repair uniforms already fraying at the seams. Others practiced drills with empty cartridge boxes. One young private approached timidly. "General, sir, will we really be home by autumn?" Adrian studied the boy's face, barely 18, cheeks still soft, eyes full of belief. "Autumn?" Adrian forced a faint smile. "If fortune favors us." The boy smiled, reassured. Adrian walked away feeling older than war itself. Across the border, destiny marched with precision. On the Prussian side, the army did not assemble. It formed the way storms formed, inevitable and immense. Tracks thundered as hundreds of trains delivered entire divisions with the precision of clockwork. Atop a hill overlooking the valley, Chancellor Otto Reinhardt watched the columns advance like threads weaving the fabric of a nation. He was not a soldier, but his words had shaped battles more than any blade. General Falkenhardt rode up beside him. "The First Army is in position," he reported. "The rails performed flawlessly. Supplies are 3 days ahead of schedule." Reinhardt nodded. "And France?" Falkenhardt smirked, "Still searching for horses from what our scouts say." Reinhardt clasped his hands behind his back. "Good. Then we move before they can think, before they can breathe. Let them drown in their own confusion." He paused and then added softly, "History does not wait for the unprepared." Back in France, the storm finally broke. 3 days later, Delacroix's army reached the frontier town of Verdun. Instead of the triumphant advance Paris had promised, they found villages abandoned, fields trampled, and distant rumbling thunder from the Prussian guns. Adrian stood at the ridge, scanning the horizon through his spyglass. What he saw turned his stomach cold. Prussian banners, hundreds of them, stretching toward the horizon like a dark tide. Armand's voice trembled. "How did they move so fast?" "He didn't," Adrian muttered. "We moved too slow." A courier galloped toward them, breathing hard. "General, message from the capital." Adrian opened the sealed letter. The emperor demanded an immediate offensive. No retreat, no delay, no negotiation. Armand read Adrian's expression and spoke cautiously. "The men are exhausted. Supplies are running thin. If we attack now—" "If we don't," Adrian interrupted, "Paris will call me a coward." He crumpled the letter. "We march at dawn." The Battle of Verdun. Fog clung to the valley floor the next morning as French infantry advanced through dew-soaked grass. Drums beat a slow, steady rhythm, masking the trembling in men's legs. "General," Armand whispered, "this feels wrong." "It is," Adrian replied, "but war rarely feels otherwise." Moments later, the fog ignited with thunder. Prussian artillery opened fire from hidden ridges. Shells screamed across the valley, tearing earth, wood, and bone alike. Entire French companies vanished into clouds of fire. Horses bolted. Officers shouted orders drowned beneath the roar. Adrian seized a fallen tricolor flag and lifted it high. "Forward! Hold the line!" But his voice was swallowed by the storm. Armand grabbed him by the arm. "We're being slaughtered! We must pull back!" "Not yet!" Another explosion threw them both to the ground. Smoke choked the air. Men ran in every direction, some firing wildly, others clutching wounds. The French formation collapsed like wet paper. It was over in less than an hour. The emperor faces the mirror. In the palace at St. Lys, Emperor Lucian III sat alone, staring at a telegram with shaking hands. Verdel lost. Army in retreat. Casualties catastrophic. He closed his eyes. For all his life, he had worn a crown forged in an ancestor's fire. But Lucian was no conqueror. He had inherited a shadow, not a destiny, and shadows could not win wars. The doors opened. His wife, Empress Camille, entered quietly. He whispered, "I have doomed them." She knelt beside him. "No one wants war, Lucian, but now you must decide. Will you let this war devour France, or will you stop it?" He looked at his reflection in the mirror, a pale man with tired eyes, weighed down not by age, but by expectation. "I don't know," he said softly, "if the world wants France to survive." A meeting in the forest. 2 days after Verdel, Adrian and Armand led the remnants of their army through dense forest, retreating towards the fortress city of Rochefort. A sudden rustle halted them. A Prussian cavalry patrol. The two groups froze, weapons half raised. Then the Prussian captain, a young officer with sharp blue eyes, rode forward. "We don't wish to fight today," he said calmly. "You're wounded, we can see that." Adrian stepped forward. "So what do you want?" "Only a message delivered," the captain said. He handed Adrian a sealed letter. From Chancellor Reinhardt, he requests a meeting, a chance to spare more bloodshed. Adrian exchanged a glance with Armand. "Why us?" Armand asked. "Because," the captain replied, "you still command men who trust you, and because France will not listen to its emperor." Adrian hesitated. Then he took the letter. The captain saluted and rode off. Armand whispered, "Are we being trapped again?" Adrian stared at the letter's dark wax seal. "Maybe," he said, "but if we don't at least try, France will die before winter." And so history bent toward a crossroads. One side driven by ambition, another by desperation, both by destiny. The war that began with pride would now be decided by the courage to face the truth. And the world watched, breath held, as two men stepped forward to decide the fate of nations.